in this lifetime, in this body, you were given this chance, this life, and it's up to you how you're going to live your life, how you're going to use this gift. You can use it like most people do, playing it safe. Playing it safe, not being too much, playing fair, fitting the box that you were given. Or you can really say that, like, hey, I'm really grateful for this life and I'm going to make use of it. I'm going to make use of it that the day I die, I will have zero regrets. I will feel so freaking proud of myself for living the life exactly I wanted to live. Because if you don't, you will have the pain of regret. You will feel as if you've been cheated, as if like you didn't make most of it. And again, it's up to you. And at the end, what do you get out of life? It's all directly proportional to your level of courage. Courage, the word courage comes from the Latin word heart, core. Heart. Do you live from your heart or do you live from your mind? Mind is fearful. The only function of the mind, evolutionary, was to keep us alive as a species, to survive. So the only function of the mind is to survive, and it does through fear. The most fearful survived, and those fearless, they were killed by tiger. Then they were burned on stakes, called witches. Nowadays, we call bitches. But today, we live in a different world. No one's gonna come and kill us. But they might hate us on social media. They might send the most vicious messages about us. They might bully us and whatever. But it's really up to you how you're going to show up in this world. Do you want to stay fearful, or do you want to be that powerful woman or man that you know you came here to be? And the longer you stay in that fear mode, the longer you're doing disservice to the world, to yourself. Basically, you're not helping anybody by doing that. Maybe you just want to say, fuck that, and be who you want to be. Because a lot of times we can go back into like waiting. I'm waiting for the better times to come. I'm waiting for some certain star constellation. I'm waiting when the Mercury goes direct, blah, blah, blah. But then again, it's a fear. It's a fear. You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of criticism. You're afraid of abandonment. You're afraid that you will not be loved back and stuff like that. But then at the end, like, hey, you've got to admit that, like, hey, I am not living my life the way I want. I'm allowing fear to control me. And fear, it's ego. Ego is fear. Ego is about control. Ego is about survival. Ego is about keeping that false identity that you've mentally built about yourself. And what is the opposite of that? What is the opposite of having no fear? What is the opposite of not acting from ego, but from your heart? We're coming back to that word heart, courage. Heart knows better. Heart is not limited. Heart is your true essence that doesn't run on fear, but rather flies on faith, flies on trust. Because mind is pretty limited. Mind It's all about control. It's all about keeping you in a familiar zone. Anything that's unfamiliar to you and to all of your ancestors, it's gonna be wah 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 wah, alarm, alarm, alarm tone, because it's very new, and it needs the mind, the ego. It needs to know everything. But since it's unknown, it's gonna react, it's gonna act out, it's gonna try to get you back, like, hey, 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 where you going? Come back, come back, stay here. This is the safe zone, stay here. And guess what? You find yourself limited, you find yourself not stretching, not going where you want to go. And every time you have those excuses like, hey, okay, not today, not now, I'll do it later, I'll get there one day, someday, next year, in 5 years, in 10 years. But then, time doesn't mercy anybody. Like, time just goes by. In 10 years, you're gonna get 10 years older, but your life will not change dramatically. You probably will change, like, your zip code by a couple of numbers, if you get what I mean. But still, it will be like making those baby steps. It will not be something transformational, incremental. And if you dare to live from your heart, if you dare to rely on something bigger than your mind can grab, something bigger than yourself, no matter what the definition is for you, call it God, universe, higher power, creator, higher force, whatever you call it, your definition of that something bigger than you. If you can let go of control, let go and let God. That's the definition of trust, faith. Because it's either or. You either can be fearful or you can be faithful. It's either or. And whichever wins, and there is a remedy if you are being too controlling, meaning too fearful, too afraid to let go, then here is the tool. Pray. Pray for help. Ask the source, God, universe, angels, archangels, whoever, whatever you believe in, you believe who is supporting you, who is in your spiritual team. Ask them to change you. Please change me into somebody who trusts. Please change me into somebody who lets go and lets God. That's exactly the moment of surrender, when you say, when you admit basically that, hey, I'm not that powerful. I don't have all the answers. And I'm powerless when it comes to letting go. I still want to be in control. I'm still full of fears. But I know that I do want to let go. I do want to surrender. So here comes the part of prayer. Pray. Ask whatever you want, and you will be given. And even this act of prayer is already surrender. That's my message for today. Surrender, slow down, and act from your heart. Be courageous.